What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Shiny Circuit. Today we're heading out to one of my favorite places, local game stores. More specifically, Game City here in Edmonton, Alberta. If you're into retro games, used consoles, comic books, collectibles, just digging through shelves hoping you find something special, you know this is the vibe. So Game City has a couple locations here in Edmonton, Alberta. I believe 3 locations. First impressions when you walk into them, it's got that classic local game store energy. Walls lined with games, shelves packed with stuff, and just the feeling that you could really find something hidden here. And Game City doesn't just have video games and retro video games. They've got comics, Funko Pops, collectibles, even like Pokémon cards mixed in there. You see the walls lined, kind of like when you were going to Blockbuster on a Friday night. You see Wii U, you see PlayStation, Xbox, some Nintendo DS, Game Boy Advanced, Wii U. But for me, I tend to gravitate more towards the retro first and see what they have there. Checking out the Super Nintendo games, they have Axelay, they got Ghoul Patrol, and King of Dragons, just spotting a few here. And I just spotted some games here. These ones were more likely the ones I would have been playing, like Mortal Kombat 3 and Power Rangers. And then going over to the NES, I saw this one, Batman Return of the Joker, going for almost $400. I recently just bought a Super Nintendo, but NES is something I also want to get. It was one of my first consoles I remember playing, so I definitely want to get a Nintendo. And then they just got peripherals and collectibles here. Going over to the Sega Genesis, they had quite a wide selection here. More than I've seen in other stores. They got the biggest selection here in terms of Sega Genesis. And then making our way over to something that I didn't own, but I did play a lot of my cousins' Nintendo GameCube. Stuff like Paper Mario, Tony Hawk's Underground 2, I remember playing on PlayStation 2. But I recently just got a GameCube as well, so I'm looking to collect more for this one as well. PS Vita I got on launch, but they have a decent collection here of PS Vita games. Some loose and complete in-box kind of special editions. They also did have some PSP games, which I recently bought a PSP because I never got a PSP at launch. So I'm looking to collect for that too. And this is something really cool too. They have just the cases if you're looking for cases. I know I'm always looking for cases because I do buy stuff kind of loose and just cartridges, or you know, I'd get it for cheap, but then I just get the box later, you know. I did see they had Final Fantasy 3 for the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, which was a decent price at around $80. And then moving on to Dragon Quest 4 here for the Nintendo DS, and Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow. I'm looking to pick this one up as well. It's a pretty decent price here. They had a ton of loose DS games and Game Boy Advance games here as well. Over here, I spotted a Pokemon Ruby version, just loose right here, for around $100. I'm not sure if that's a good deal on it. And then we got a couple complete in-box games here. Game Boy Advance, we have Final Fantasy 6 Advance, and Final Fantasy 4 in box as well. And then just looking around, they have a very extensive Wii collection, a decent DS collection, or kind of selection here. Not the best selection here. I know another place, Next Wave Games, they have a bigger DS and kind of 3DS selection you can choose from. But moving on to their Bonnie Doon Center location, that's kind of one of the good things about Game City is that they got several locations, so you never know what will pop up in each kind of location, right? You might find some hidden gems you're looking for, like here, Toomba for the PlayStation, going for around $250, and then Suikoden 2 going for around $500. Now, as I look more into kind of retro gaming, I'm kind of very curious about how these prices get so high. And just as a kid, kind of losing out on if I kept these games and kind of kept good condition of them, man, these games would have been worth a lot. If I knew as a kid. And out here you can see they got kind of a selection of PlayStation games here. None of the big box PlayStation games, they got kind of the CD case collection games, the ones you kind of know. And they also have some kind of special edition games here. And they got a wide selection of Xbox games. Xbox is one of my first consoles that I modded, so I really didn't collect for, but I really want to get back into collecting for the Xbox as well. I actually did pick up a Wii from them, kind of a complete Wii, because I wanted to actually mod it. So in another video, I'll show you what I did to mod it and what's actually on my Wii. As I mentioned before, they have some kind of special edition games. Right here, the Mummy Demastered. I didn't know this was such a sought after game for this kind of price tag. And then again, their NES collection, their Nintendo collection is different at every store. Here I was able to see they have Kickmaster here. And then the Game Genie as well. This is pretty cool to see. I remember using the Game Genie a couple times on the NES. And as you can see, they have a healthy selection of PlayStation 3 games. PlayStation 3 is something, I have two PlayStation 3s, but the games, when I was playing PlayStation 3, it was all digital. So I'm looking to build my kind of library and collection of that as well. I saw here they had a Sega Genesis for 80 bucks. I was very tempted to pick this up because I want to collect for the Sega Genesis as well. And the games I definitely do remember playing are kind of Sonic the Hedgehog, X-Men 2, I remember playing that as well, Spider-Man's Carnage. And here they had some Sega Master System games, as well as some Game Gear games, which we don't see a lot of, so this was pretty cool to see. Here I saw another gem for the DS, Dokopon's Journey, for almost 300, and several more Dragon Quest games. Again, they have some PSP and PS Vita games here as well. It's a decent collection here and selection that you're able to choose from. They got loose and inbox. I find shopping for the PS Vita is hard to shop for because not a lot of stores kind of carry a PS Vita library or a robust PS Vita library. They have a lot of PSP games, but not a lot of PS Vita games. I think it's just because of the short kind of time frame of that console before, you know, the PS4 came out. And then, as I mentioned, they do have collectibles and Funko Pops. Here they had kind of Avatar, which was one of my favorite animes growing up. And they just have stuff like board games and collectibles and puzzles. Here they also have comic books, which is really cool to see. So they're really covering everything that you could want as a collector, right? Moving on to this display, I saw that they had some imports, some Famicom games, so that's pretty cool to see. You don't really see big box game stores carry kind of imports like this, right? I think the last imports I saw were at Collecticon, but then they had random stuff just like this, like Infinity Gauntlet signed by Josh Brolin, which is pretty cool to see. And then moving on, and can someone tell me why this Game Boy game, Amazing Tater, is worth $750 loose, not even complete in box? I tried to do some digging on this and I couldn't find anything. Is it like a limited run? That's why it's so high up there. I also saw complete in box Harvest Moon 3 and then Final Fantasy Legend 2 complete in box. But yeah, some of the prices on these Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games are kind of ridiculous. I'm not sure what drives up the price. I'm sure it has to do with scarcity or something like that, or limited edition runs. But some of these are pushing 1K. I did like their selection of DS games here, as you can see. And then this was pretty cool that they had just like kind of like the inner flaps of the games, right? If you're missing inner flaps of the games, you can get the flaps here, and then you could get a box if you're missing them as well. But I recently got a Nintendo 3DS. So I'm looking to build my 3DS library and my DS library. So a lot of these games are very new to me, and a lot of these games I've never heard of. I heard most of the DS and kind of 3DS library is big because of kind of just shovelware games, but there are gems in there and there are kind of full robust games in there. So I'm looking to build kind of my collection and kind of traverse through and find those kind of robust, awesome gems, right? As I mentioned earlier in the video, I got a Wii, and I'm going to mod it. So I'm also looking to get a Wii U because I skipped on that too. I jumped back into Nintendo when the Switch came out. But I could definitely spend a lot of time here going back and forth at all the selections they have here. I went back and saw that Sega Genesis for 80 bucks. Looking back, I should have picked it up. But just seeing all the kind of collection they have here, PS4 to Sega Genesis to kind of more modern games like PS4 and PS5. And if I knew that these prices would have shot up, I would have bought more physical, at least at the PS3 era, because I see some of these games going for pretty high price. And then finally, for their final location at Millwoods Town Center. Hey, first Saturday of every month, TCG trading. This is the mall they have it at. I'm assuming they have it here. So much space here. Holy shit, it's huge. This is one of the biggest ones I've seen. This location here has got to be the biggest one out of all the game cities in Edmonton. They did have a very wide selection of peripherals as you walked in. Oh, they got some limited edition Yu-Gi-Oh! Survival guides, Alan Wake. Oh, they got some Famicom. What do they have? They got a ton here. Look at all this Super NES. I'm gonna see if I can get Final Fantasy 3. And I did pick up a couple things from each game city. I'll show you at the end of the video what I picked up, but here I was actually searching for Final Fantasy 3 for the Super NES. Either complete in box or loose. So yeah, as I'm getting more familiar with the retro scene, I'm looking at those spots that carry the best kind of collection, and depending on what I'm collecting for, I'll know which spot to kind of hit up, if it's kind of Game City or Next Wave or even Shopville here. As I get more familiar, I'll share those spots with you as well, and if you're a collector here in Edmonton, hopefully you can find some benefit from these videos. Mario. Pokémon Tournament? Oh, got some new games. Where's the DS? Did you see the DS's? Oh, we have Twilight Princess. One on the playlist, Twilight Princess. Oh, right here, Nintendo DS. Yes. One up here. And there's a list I made. Oh, Hannah Montana. Oh, I gotta get this. What else? PSP. PlayStation 2. Oh, nice. And they got a wide selection of PlayStation 2. Oh, new shit. Played this as a kid. They talk with me. Thanks for a good Liberty City. What else do they have? Oh, Tekken. Limited edition. Oh, what is that one? PS Slim. Is that all the 3DS games do they have any 3DS? Over here. Oh, Game Shark. Final Fantasy. Spyro? Yeah, you're really good. So here's what I picked up. I picked up Final Fantasy Tactics for the PlayStation, the original one. And I was able to get a loose cartridge of Pokemon Yellow. I figured I'd pick up an extra one, as well as Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 64, and WWE for the Nintendo 64 as well as Harvest Moon and the Final Fantasy collection for the Switch. So yeah, if you guys like that video, make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Hit that bell notification for updates. We out.